everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pages Uncovered. I just filmed my bookshelf packing video, but since I'm packing books up, I wanted to go ahead and film this now. That way I can pack these books and not have to have them sitting out. So this is going to be, I had a comment from a subscriber that asked what my favorite books were. That's a super hard question because there's so many books, so many genres. It really depends on what mood I'm in. So I'm going to go over some books. I think I'm going to try to do like 10. I have 7 that I physically have right now. Sorry about that. I had a dog hair in my mouth. The other ones, I don't know where they are, so I'll just put like a picture up here. So the first 4 books are, I don't want to say classics because, I guess I am pretty old now. Like I said in the previous video, I'm in denial that I'm in my 30s, but here we are in my 30s. But all these books were books that I read when I was in like middle school, high school. And they're just books that kind of stuck with me, I guess. I don't know, necessarily stuck with me, but they did, obviously. They made an impact because I went out of my way to buy copies of them. And funny enough, all 4 of these books have movies made after them. So if that tells you anything, we're just gonna go through them one at a time here. This book right here is probably one of my favorite books of all time, and the movie is great as well. This is Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I always butcher that name. But yeah, this is basically, it's a big time coming of age. It deals with some mental health issues. You've got Charlie, who hasn't really been right since the death of his aunt, but you kind of find out later on that there was more to that aunt story than we really knew. And it caused a lot of, mental health issues in his life. His best friend, he lost his best friend. He's basically navigating high school with nobody. He's got no friends going into it. Just, blind, basically. He meets this, kind of, I guess you would call them like a group of misfits, because they're all very eclectic and different. And they kind of take him under their wing. He's a lot younger than him. He's freshmen, they're seniors. But you see this bond grow between them, and they all really just help each other. There's just a lot of growing, big time coming of age story, like I said. And if you haven't read it, I definitely suggest it. Definitely check out the movie as well. The movie's great. It's got Emma Watson in it, and I cannot think of the guy's name. Dylan O'Brien, I think, is his name. Pretty sure. And it's also got the Flash, whatever his name is, from the movie. Ezra, whatever his last name is. Oh my gosh, I'm bad with names. But yeah, really good book. It's a classic. As much as I don't want to admit that it's a classic, it is classic. This next one, I'm pretty sure I read in middle school. Also has a movie made after it. We got Holes by Louis Sakar. The movie is, most people my age have seen the movie. It's got Shia LaBeouf in it. And it's basically this kid gets in trouble, gets sent to this like all boys camp. It's kind of like a reform type thing. It's not really like juvie, but it's supposed to teach them lessons basically, and trying to straighten their lives up. So he gets sent to this camp. Comes out that the camp is kind of a facade for almost like a treasure hunt. The people that are in charge are not good people, and you just follow this group of boys, and it's hilarious. They get into some crazy stuff. It's got some good action in it. It's a classic. It really is. The movie's great. Like I said, it's got Shia LaBeouf in it. Definitely recommend both the movie and the book. Next one, I read this in high school for sure. and it's got a movie as well. It's got Kristen Stewart in it. I've mentioned this book when I was going over a book haul that I got, and just gonna get into it. We got Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, and like I said, the movie's got Kristen Stewart in it. Fun fact about the movie is it was filmed either my junior or senior year of high school, and they actually filmed it at, there's this place called COSI. It's like a science center museum type deal. And they built COSI within like an old high school. They actually filmed a lot of this movie in the old high school section of that. A kid that I went to school with was an extra in the movie. He's got like one line. It was pretty cool, I guess. It's a very good movie, very good book. It's also coming of age. I guess a lot of these books, when you're reading them in middle school, high school, they're coming of age stories because that's kind of what shapes us. If anybody can learn from the books, then that's the goal. Basically, this girl, Kristen Stewart's character in the movie, had a traumatic incident happen to her at a party, goes back to school after the summer. She lost her friends because they didn't believe her about what had happened, and she basically just kind of shuts herself off from everybody. She doesn't talk. She really doesn't do much of anything. She's just like real secluded. She does get close with a teacher who kind of helps bring out some of the story. She does end up kind of growing and getting her justice, kind of, but it's very emotional. It's a good read for young women, because I know a lot of girls, women, middle school, high school, adults, even maybe younger, go through things like she goes through in this book, and I think that it's a good book to kind of help maybe learn personal growth type deal, and at least kind of see a different perspective of these situations. This last one it's an older one. It's not super old. I'm not sure when it was produced. I'm not sure when it was published. I want to say probably like maybe the 80s. I could be way off though. I'm trying to see if it's got like a copyright date in here. 1967. A lot older than I thought it was. Interesting. So this one's got a movie as well that was made in the, I think, early 90s. It's got a lot of actors in it. I think it's got Johnny Depp in it. It's got a lot of people in it. But this is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And this is basically, you've got two different social groups. You've got the, oh my gosh, it's been a while. You've got the Socs, which are like the upper class kind of popular kid, and then you got the Greasers, who are lower class, like the one group of kids, the brothers taking care of them. They all kind of hang out together. But you've got Ponyboy, he's the main character, ends up having to basically run from the law because of a situation that he didn't really get himself into it. It was something happened to him with the group of Socs, and he ended up having to run from the law. So you kind of see him and Johnny, I believe. It's been a while since I've read or seen this. They kind of both help take care of each other in this fugitive type situation, hiding out in a church and stuff, and you just see them grow. A lot of crazy stuff happens. It's very good though. The book is really good. Movie, excellent movie. I would say this is one of the rare exceptions where the movie is at least just as good as the book is. The movie was very good. So those are kind of the more classic ones. Now, these next three, one of them, two of them are pretty new. I will say that. So take this kind of with a grain of salt, because this could change. I might find things that I like better down the line. But as it stands right now, these are two of my favorite books that I've read in the past 2 or 3 years. And then the other one is a classic. We'll go ahead and do the classic first. I don't know why I didn't put that with the classic, because there's also a movie based on this one. We got It by Stephen King. I mean, first of all, this is a thick boy. I'm actually getting ready to reread it with a friend of mine. We're going to read it together. But I'm sure everybody knows the story of It. Pennywise the Clown, a group of kids, takes place in Derry, Maine. It's got the old movie with Tim, I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna put this toy out of here for now. I can't think of his last name right now. And then then there's the 2 remakes. Excellent movies, like I said. Excellent book. Love Stephen King. His books, they're lengthy, so they are a commitment to read. And the chapters are very long. I know I've talked about this before, that I'm a fan of short chapters, even though the book's really long. But the stories are really good. They're really well written. I mean, obviously, he has published hundreds of books for a reason. You know, he wouldn't be as big as he is if the books sucked. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. I actually, I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to... I've got an It themed tattoo. It's got the balloon. It's got a 9, Roman numeral 9 in it for the band Ice Nine Kills. Like I've said that before, I love them. It's got in like this cool blood script. It's got We All Float Down Here. And it's got the paper boat, the SS Georgie. The balloon kind of wraps around that. It's got like a puddle of blood. And then I had to get the Loser Lover, their little club on my wrist. That was my very first tattoo, and I love it. But obviously, I'm a big fan of It. I love horror, anything really. I mean, you guys saw that in my last video with the bookshelf cleaning. You saw my popcorn buckets for Scream and Saw. But yeah, I'm a big fan of horror. And Stephen King books are classics, so definitely check anything by him. I don't think you can go wrong, really. I'm actually currently reading for the Ice Nine Kills book club. I'm reading, almost said Curry, but Tim Curry. That's that guy's name, Tim Curry. That's who played Pennywise in the first movie. But I'm reading Carrie by Stephen King right now for that book club. That was a whole lot that just happened in my brain, and we got there. At least I figured out his name, right? So this one, like I said, it's a newer book. I'm quickly finding that I think she's one of my favorite authors. Well, I shouldn't say she, because I believe, if I remember right, it's 2 friends that make up one author. They just go by this name. But this is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I love this book so much. It was so good. You basically got... I've read it a long time ago, so I'm trying to remember the name. Ethan and Olive are the 2 main characters, right? They don't get along. So Ethan is Olive's sister's fiance's brother. Yeah. Olive's sister and the brother are getting married, right? Obviously. And Ethan is the best man. Olive's the maid of honor. They're both also vegetarians, I believe, or have like food allergies or something. So at the wedding reception, they don't eat the food that everybody else is eating. The entire wedding gets food poisoning. Olive's sister had this all expenses paid trip for their honeymoon, non-refundable because she won it. So she makes Ethan and Olive go on this trip together. Their plan was to go there. They had to pretend like they were married to get in and everything, but then they were going to kind of go their separate ways. Obviously, things don't work out that way. They end up kind of doing activities together, and they do have some fights. It takes a while. It's very enemies to lovers, Very good book, though. I devoured this thing in like a few hours, I think. I mean, I wouldn't say a few hours. It was less than a day, for sure. I read it just straight through, I think, without many breaks. Definitely cannot wait to read more books by Christina Lauren. I think I've read a couple other ones, but this has been my favorite so far. And I do have a bunch of her books on my shelf. Why do I keep doing this? Like, but anyways, Beyond Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. Great book. Now this one. We're definitely going to take this with a grain of salt. So, this is one of the most hyped books of the last couple years, I would say. And prior to this book, I wasn't really a fantasy reader. I read a couple here and there, and a lot of times I had a hard time getting into them. But this book, it still has a chokehold on me, and I haven't read the sequel yet because I want to reread this one and just read it straight through, read this, and then the sequel right after it. So I'm like, I've got the book, I got the sequel on my shelf, well, in a box now, and I really have been waiting to read it, but like I said, I gotta wait. I want to reread this one, but we're talking Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book is super hyped up. This is actually the holiday edition, so it's got the black sprayed edges. It's got like the cool little map inside. Different cover. I'm a big fan of different like special edition books all of a sudden. I've been like pre-ordering them like crazy. But Fourth Wing, I'm sure everybody's heard about it. This, you know, it's fantasy, romantasy. You've got dragons, dragon riders. Since this is a newer book, I don't really want to talk about it a whole lot. Oh my gosh, sorry. Because there's people that haven't read it yet that might be wanting to read it. All I'm saying is it turned a non-fantasy reader into a fantasy reader. I love this book. Was so good. And I guess Rebecca Yarros, I haven't read any of her other books, but I guess her other books are not fantasy. They're like romance and stuff like that. I put one of her books on my Kindle. I'm gonna make a video of it, just like a kind of like a reaction type video to reading something other than Fourth Wing by her, because I've heard it's very different. Fun fact, on I think it's April 7th, I actually get to meet her. I'm gonna take this copy and get it signed. It's like a 3-hour event. She's gonna be talking, answering questions. I'm sure they'll have really cool stuff there for us. I'm super excited for that. But yeah, we got Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I've heard Iron Flame is even better. So, like I said, I'm waiting to read it until I reread this, but it's gonna have to wait until after we move, because I gotta be in a headspace for it, because I just want to really indulge every single word from these books, because I'm telling you, they're great. So that is it for the physical books that I have picked out. I am going to talk about 3 other books. I'm going to choose 3 other books here that I don't have physically with me right now, because they're probably packed away. The first one is going to be a Nicholas Sparks book. Nicholas Sparks is very like, you either like his books or you don't. There's not really a in-between with him, because they're all just like, they're romance. They all take place in the same area, North Carolina, I believe. And they are, a lot of them are similar, but he's a great writer. Has good stories. I mean, there's movies. Like, all of his books get turned into movies. It's crazy. My dog's chewing on a water bottle, so hopefully that's not too loud. But anyway, so my favorite Nicholas Sparks book, you know, a lot of people are going to say, like, A Walk to Remember or The Notebook. Not me. My favorite Nicholas Sparks book is The Choice. There is a movie based on it, so you can read the book and watch the movie. My grandma actually showed me this book. Funny story. Not really funny at all, but it's, she read it and she thought that I would love it, because the guy in the book, the main character, he's a vet, and I wanted to be a veterinarian my entire life, but things just didn't work out that way. So yeah, she was like, you gotta read this book, so she gave me a copy of it, which is somewhere in here. But it's a really cute story. And like I said, if you haven't read it, definitely check it out. It's definitely my favorite Nicholas Sparks book. And like I said, you can watch the movie as well. The movie's very good. If you want to skip the book and watch the movie, that's fine with me, because the movie is pretty dang good. But yeah, The Choice by Nicholas Sparks, one of my favorites for sure. These next two, it's kind of cheating because they're series, but I love them. I've loved them since I was a kid. I didn't realize how many classic style books I had on this list, but I mean, it makes sense. I should have more classic books on the list rather than brand new ones, because, you know, a book, you can have instant classics, but it's very rare. So I only had, what, 2 or 3 newer books. So we're going to go with the first series here. We are going to go, I'm just going to put it here. We're going to pretend like I'm actually holding it. We're going to go with the Harry Potter series. I would say my favorite book and movie is probably Goblet of Fire. Although I do have a soft spot for Sorcerer's Stone. Obviously, it's just because, you know, I was in middle school when the books came out. And I remember I got a copy every time a new book came out. My grandma always bought me one. And then obviously watched the movies as they came out. And I kind of grew up with the characters in the movie. So that first one is just, like, I still remember going to the movie theater to see the first movie. I went with this kid from my neighborhood. His grandma took us, and it was crazy. Like, diving into a world like that was my first real experience with diving into a world that I read about, you know, on the big screen. And it was just, it definitely helped. I mean, I've always loved reading ever since I was real little, but I think it sparked something completely different in me, and just really, it was great. I don't even know how else to explain it. I mean, they're classic. Whether you know, I know some people have thoughts about J.K. Rowling, but you can't deny that the books are amazing. The movies are great. And like I said, the first one is, it holds a special part in my soul. But I would say Goblet of Fire is probably my favorite book and movie, just because it's a big turning point in the series. I'm not going to talk too much about the books or the movies, because everybody, if you haven't seen them, what are you waiting for? Have you been living under a rock? But yeah, so Harry Potter, the whole series, like I said. And then another one is another series that I read as a kid. I have the whole series somewhere. Like I said, we've been packing, like you saw in the last video, so just forgive me. But we are talking the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. So these are old books. They're very old. But I want to say I read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe probably in elementary school, I want to say. Because it's, you know, they're not, I reread it recently, and, you know, they're not hard books to read. They're pretty short. I'm pretty sure it was elementary school that we read that. And I would say that was my very first fantasy book. That I remember, at least. And they're classics. They're so good. It just brings you into this really cool world with all these really amazing creatures, and it's got like this heroic storyline, you know, and they're kids your age that are the heroes, and it's just really cool. There's been movies. There's a new series, I believe, I think it's on Disney Plus, that is either coming out or just came out, which I need to check out for sure. But there's been a couple movies. I remember the very first movie I saw of it was like super B-rated movie. It was really good though. And then they've made some remakes of it. So I mean, I would check all of them out that you can. If you haven't read the series itself and you've only seen the movies, I definitely recommend reading the series, because there's, I want to say, 7 books. And you don't get the full story in the movies. There's a lot that happens in the books that you don't see in the movies. And it's just fun. They're great little fantasy, quick reads, super quick reads. You can read them in like a couple hours. But yeah, so that's 10, just 10. I mean, I could talk about books all day long. I could make lists after lists. But we're not going to do that, because you would be here all day and all night, and we don't want to do that. I'm not gonna force you to stay here. So basically, you know, that's just 10 books of ones that I would consider, at this point in my life, favorites. Just like movies, music, stuff like that. Those kind of things change. If I read a book that I want to add to the list, I'll make an updated video on this. You know, because Iron Flame might make it onto the list, because I've heard it's better than Fourth Wing. We'll see. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this one. Hopefully this isn't a super long video. I'll probably have to chop some stuff out of it, because I do like to ramble, if you can't tell. But anyway, so I do appreciate you guys for, you know, stopping by, checking it out, supporting the channel. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends if you could. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what your favorite books are. You know, give me either your absolute favorite or like your top 5. And if I haven't read books that you have on your list, I'm probably going to go ahead and check them out, and maybe I'll do like a video kind of going through the list of, you know, viewers' favorite books, and see how I like them. Maybe I'll get to add some new books to my favorite list. But anyways, like I said, thank you guys so much for stopping by and all the support that you guys have been sharing. This is like a little bit of a hectic time in my world right now, so just bear with me. Bear with the environment. Like, I'm on the futon right now. Normally I'm at my desk, but we're gonna make it work. We're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be great when we do get into the new place. But anyways, like I said, I'm gonna stop rambling. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This has been Pages Uncovered. Until next time.